Now, she may be better known for her remarkable achievements on the open seas, but now Dame Ellen MacArthur, who retired from professional sailing in 2010, has another goal. The former world record holder has turned her attention to global economics and has set up her own foundation to try to bring about a fundamental shift in the way the world economy works. Well, Dame Ellen is at the World Economics Forum in Davos this week, and we can speak to her now. Dame Ellen, good evening to you. Tell us about the work of the foundation, because I see you're committed to what you call a regenerative circular economy. Many people won't be familiar with that term, so what's that about?
The idea of a regenerative circular economy is based on the principle that our current economy, which is predominantly linear, is fueled by taking something out of the ground, making something out of it, and ultimately that product often gets thrown away. Whereas within a circular economy, you look at aligning business model innovation with the design of products, materials and components to build a regenerative economy whereby by design you can recover the materials, you use less energy for the manufacture or remanufacture of products, and you build an economy that can run in the long term. And we were actually here 2 years ago in the very early stages of the foundation with an economic report which was done by McKinsey in conjunction with the foundation, highlighting an economic opportunity of $630 billion around this idea of a circular economy, and that was for the EU alone. We've since produced more reports, and we're here in Davos today to launch a new project which is truly collaborative, working with organisations such as the World Economic Forum, McKinsey and the Foundation, huge global businesses and also regions to truly unlock some of the stalemates that we currently see in the economy that are stopping the circular economy happen at scale.
And that's the huge macro picture. The sort of mini picture, I suppose, is you actually sailing around the world and being dependent on what you've got lying around you, knowing that there was nowhere for you to dig up a bit more or go to the supermarket. I mean, I'm being simplistic here, but you were very self-sufficient and had to look after what you had around you.
It was certainly one of the drivers for creating the foundation. When you sail around the world, you take with you everything that you need for your survival, everything, and there's no garage to stop to get more fuel or a supermarket to buy more food, so literally what you have with you is all you have, and that really drove my passion for this subject. Just thinking actually our global economy is no different. We only have so many resources, yet we use those resources in such a linear fashion as I described. Whereas if we can shift that economic model whereby we can recover components, materials, remanufacture, look at using less energy, we can actually unlock this huge potential. And so far we've showed that has a value of in excess of $1 trillion globally, and that's a very conservative estimate.
Can I just say to you though that many people will think that's a great idea, but you're at the World Economic Forum, which is in some ways the temple of the linear economy, is it not? And people will go, yes, that's a great idea, we must get on with it, and maybe we'll do absolutely nothing because the profit is actually being made in doing what you don't like.
Well, I think what's quite interesting is when you look at the people we have back in this project, we have Frans van Houten, the CEO of Philips Global, who is the chair of the steering group for the project. The project itself is a partnership between the World Economic Forum, McKinsey and the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. And when we look at this different model, when we look at the circular economy, it's driven by economics. It's driven by the fact that actually there is more value to be had through progressing circular models. And in fact, a recent UN Global Compact study showed that a third of CEOs globally were actively looking to embrace circular economy activity within their business. And that's not because they think it's a nice idea, that's because of the economic opportunity. It's because it gives them an advantage business-wise and it unlocks more value in that business.
And could you just explain in terms of a business what you would mean by a circular economy? You mentioned Philips there. I mean, what would be circular about what they would do or any other company would do in order to fulfill the kind of criteria you're talking about?
Well, a great example at Philips is leasing lumens. So in the traditional linear economy, we'd buy a light. You go down to a store, you'd buy a Philips light, you'd put it in your house, and when it breaks, you'd probably throw it away. What Philips is looking at global scale is leasing lumens. So rather than buy the light, you buy 450 lumens at desk height, you pay for that light, Philips pay the energy bill, they manufacture the lights themselves, they're then able to remanufacture them when they have more efficient lighting, which is in their interest to install because they pay the energy bill, and the whole system is changed. So they design different lighting, they can recover the materials, energy efficiency is absolutely in their interest because they pay the bill, yet we get the service exactly as we need it for a lower price. You've
made it very clear that you think that companies can do well by doing good. The other snag, however, is that as we've seen with all environmental issues, it demands, so that there's a reasonable kind of level playing field of competition, it demands governments to kind of get together and get their act together. What we have all around the world is weak governments with weak economies who are terrified of doing anything that will annoy consumers. And that's also a problem, isn't it?
It is a problem, but I think when we've looked at the circular economy activities and we've looked at individual case studies that went into the first and second report, actually as a consumer you get a better deal, you get a better product for less money. As a company who's manufacturing that product or producing that product, you can produce a better product because you know you'll get the materials back. So actually what we're seeing is there's a real win-win situation. And when it comes to regions, and you mentioned that the economies are not thriving, we see this absolutely as a massive economic opportunity. It's a huge economic opportunity globally, it's an economic opportunity regionally, and we really do see this as something that has massive potential. And so do governments. The EU, for example, we're working with, also is hugely interested in the circular economy as a model because it's regenerative and restorative, because it enables more capital to be unlocked.
Dame Ellen, interesting stuff. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us from Davos. Dame Ellen MacArthur there.
Thank you.